Leningrad. And as you may remember, we got our main mechanized, motorized force and some infantry all cut off and surrounded. Well, now we've sort of turned the tables on them here. Hey, Jaculius. Hey, Van Bishop. Good to have you here. So we've turned the tables on them a bit. So we need to move this up. Okay, we got this one weakish infantry division here. Let's just move up to really be able to do anything. Well, oh, they routed. Good. So that will hopefully put us back into control here a little better. These guys, no, I can't move. I want to use the security division to mop up this that fort. So we are pushing up here just to give you a sort of where we're at thing. This here, we see this hex is isolated, so these are all isolated here. Hopefully going to run out of supply. We're going to hopefully take that city soon and keep pushing here and around. I'll probably withdraw that out. We'll bring up enough and hopefully take that division out. So that is sort of where we're at. I think we've done last time. We do have this one security division. Yeah, I think we'll send them up this way. We just use some troops to help occupy up our rear areas. I think that will be helpful. And yes, I am definitely not an expert at this game, but I do enjoy it. Let's do the AI depot. Yes, ma'am. And yes, all these AI things you can do yourself if you wish to. One, I just really haven't looked into it. I have like done some of the depot management, played a few turns, playing the air on a grand campaign. It's a lot of detail. Needs more heavy tanks. Well, this is Barbarossa. Germany really doesn't have heavy tanks. And at this stage, the Soviet Union doesn't have them in the fight. I would say the KV-1s are, you know, still sort of hidden back east of Moscow at this point. Arno likes heavy tanks. You didn't tell from that. We're getting some rain up here. Yes, I've noticed. Whatever game I'm playing, Arno is always saying, build heavy tanks. Just like another friend, Toyjet, is always, do the Z plan for Germany. You're going, nope, nope, nope. Oh, it's better than the Z plan. In World War II, heavy tanks definitely had a purpose. Color. Spending with float too. Well, today I've read up a little bit about George von Küchler. He's one of the generals currently operating here. We'll highlight him once we get back to our turn. So, here. Hey, Beam Slime, good to have you here, my friend. Oh, you agree with, or no? His nuts about heavy tanks, yes. The heavy tanks definitely have a purpose. Now, they change from, shall we say, the pre-war period to real experience in war. You have the idea of heavy tanks. Okay, so friendly losses, we lost 72 tanks, 2 aircraft, 90 guns, and almost 6,000 men. So, okay, not great, but now we can have execute air directives. The air is being run by the AI. And from the experience of World War I with heavy tanks, A7V, the German one, or they had a few of them, obviously, and so we had very little loss of aircraft. Hopefully, reasonably well executed. It appears that nobody's here. Good. Back up this way. We may see about dealing with him once we cut off some more supplies from him. Here, this brigade. And in World War I, you really don't have much in the way of dedicated anti-tank guns. You have the Germans developing anti-tank rifles, and so mostly you're using field guns that are, they can knock a tank out, but they're not particularly like armor penetrating. So you have, and I know we're going to get to Kuczler, so you have this idea of a big tank that has lots of firepower on it. And the Neubautfahrzeug German tanks are good examples of these, in that they're trying to work out the mechanics of them. Even the semi-production ones that do actually have real armor, where some of them just had mild steel as sort of development tanks. They really don't have heavy armor, and they have the armor about the same heaviness of standard tanks, but they're multiple turrets, trying to put a lot of firepower, a lot of engaging multiple targets in one package. You can see that in the French Charbis, and that they have a turret to move around, again, a one-man turret, but to, like, oh, there's some people running over there, let's shoot them with a machine gun. Oh, there's a machine gun post, that's sort of entrenched over there, let's shoot that with the, the turret main gun. But move up to a big, defended position, start blasting it with the 75 millimeter hull-mounted gun. It's that kind of thing. The French generally tend to have heavier armor than most of the other nations at the time. So you get that. Now, war experience goes with heavy tanks. We can somewhat epitomized by the KV ones early on. But with those lessons learned, the Germans, with the Tiger, heavy tanks become armor to try to not stop all enemy fire, but all sort of standard enemy tank type and anti-tank guns effectively, and have a big gun that can blast anything else out on there. So if the enemy builds a similar, it's going to get through your armor, you just have to be better at it. So yeah, heavy tanks definitely had a place back then. Let's see. I want to catch up with Arnold and Beam Slams chat back and forth. Medium tanks exploiting. Now, I would say medium tanks are much more effective, but I believe the KV-2 was on the Leningrad front. No mistake. I'm not sure when the KV-2 shows up. All right. Well, where is he? No, that isn't him. Yeah, that's not a terribly good picture of von Küchler. So, von Kuczler. Well, let's get to some movement here. So now we have this division trying to come through there. Just come down there. We're going to keep them isolated for a little while. The French Char B1 BIS was the best early war heavy tank, but the problem was crew members and placement in most French tanks back then. Yes, it was automotively sound. It was armored well enough. It had both of its guns, the turret gun and the main gun, were effective enough. It had a reasonably effective machine gun. It was just really terrible when you start looking at it from a human, maybe we should take a look here. Okay, Soviet partisans in Belarus, Axis capture Sami. That's up in Finland, I believe, and yes. Well, we do see a picture of it, KV-2. It was just atrocious in the ergonomics, if you will. It's just about every level. If you've ever played a game, I'm going to talk about a non-slithering, and though I wouldn't necessarily a competitive game here, but Postscriptum. Arno and I have been playing that some. In which you play, one of the ways to play the game is you're members of a like a tank crew or armored car or whatever, and you only have the options that crew member really has in looking out of the tank. So it's either looking through the gun sight if you have one, if the commander has a vision block that he can move, or it's open the turret up, maybe get part way out of the turret, just sort of looking over the edge, or sort of fully sitting up. So how much are you exposed in that and looking around in the tank? Well, with a Char B, you do not have a top hatch on the tank. You can't get out of the top of the turret. You have a little dome thing that your helmet can sort of go up in it and use that to sort of turn a vision block thing in it. Use your head as a turning mechanism there. You only had a hatch out the back of the turret. So if you want to escape, okay, you escape out the back of the turret. But if you want to get out to look around, you've got to open the hatch, which falls down back. The hatch opens downward. So you sit on the hatch. And so your whole body is out and exposed. Sure, you're sort of behind the turret for anything shooting at you directly in front and you're looking over it, but your sides are completely open, and rear, of course. So it's only your legs are actually still in the tank, or the commander to be able to look around. And so the Char B1 is just atrocious in that sort of a situation. And that, I believe, we could just hastily attack. Oh, the defenders held well. See, I made the mistake. We're going to not make that mistake again. And we're just going to hit it hard. Okay, good. We're pushing back. They can come up here. Now, I should have attacked with you. Get it further into the rear. Now, here. Let's move up to there to close this path of advance for the enemy. Will be fairly tough. We're going to move up like that. Now we have the rail links reconnected. I think very realistic for a turn-based game. War in the East 2 is. I think it hits the realism factor pretty well. Okay, there we go. They're routed. I think they're still getting to retreat, even though they're somewhat isolated here. Battered, good. Okay, well this better solves our being pushed, but this looks like it can get jumped pretty hard, so we're going to pull that back. We're going to move the army here. I know I'm supposed to be blitzing my way to Leningrad way up here, but I am bogged down, to tell you the truth. Let's see now here. We want to, oh, because of misclicks, we have not terribly great, but okay, well, there. We're going to come up to here, and then it is, you split that and you repair it. Up to here, repair it. Okay, so that will get us rail links up to here. We can get that one. These other ones are handled by the AI, repairing rails, which is good. So now it looks like they're sort of weak up here. So what I think we'll do, don't tickle them. They've, I think, doing somewhat badly because they had been cut off. Let's take a quick look at this. Okay. So the 6th Panzer Division, we have only 4 ready 222s, armored cars, and 3 ready 221s, and a bunch of damaged other vehicles that I think will be repaired given time. We have a bunch of damaged 35Ts, but more in good shape. Just a few other Panzers of various 2s and 4s. So we're not doing terribly well. But we're not going to use that one. There. Now, if we look with all 3 of these, yes. We'll attack there. Just with that one. Nope, we're going to stay right where we're at. Good enough attack. So we're going to hope to move up these divisions. They might try pushing in here in the south. There, okay. Well, we want to move you up further forward. That will help our supply situation for these units. Okay, a little bit further. Want them to not be red with any unit that they command. But we also don't want them to be too exposed so that they get overrun by the enemy. Hello, Thornwald Fett. How you doing? The date is August 3rd, 1941. Sorry, yeah, they have the overlay up in the corner, no problem. This is the road to Leningrad, and I am bogged down in it. Good to have you here. So, in the general we're looking at today is George von Kuczler, as I mentioned earlier. He was like most generals in World War II. He was in World War I, started out as a captain in the Prussian army. Oh, you're shopping in Paris. Well, very nice. He I don't know if terribly anything yeah, just basically staff officer, artillery officer in World War I. He's retained as a member of the Reichswehr, you know, in the interwar period. He particularly is commanding units in East Prussia during that time period, in the interwar period. He is the general going into Memel. That's Memel here. I don't know all of Wilson's 14 points, but I forget whether it was like Lloyd George or Daladier or one of the other two members of the triumvirate at the end of World War II made the comment, well, Wilson has 14 points, but God only had 10. Yeah, I don't know them all, but one of them was, self-determination of territories at the end of the war. I think heavily looking at the Austro-Hungarian Empire, but not exclusively there, with the idea that, hey, well, if you don't want to be part of that, you don't have to. So they sort of set up this principle of, hey, you can, the majority populations in one particular area get to determine what country they are. No, that isn't what happens. Austria, very early on, declares that we are the part of Germany, basically. Not quite blatantly, but basically we're German Austria or something like that. And then to be part of the new German rising nation after the the breakup of the German Empire the German Empire. The Allies, no, Germany doesn't get to grow, it's shrinking. So they were forbidden to do that. Well, they also carved off other parts of territories from the German Empire that clearly, by every metric that I know, the population overwhelmingly considered themselves German and overwhelmingly wanted to stay part of whatever modern Germany was going to be. Two of them, one was the city of Danzig. The Polish corridor, I've seen population maps. All maps are propaganda. Just remember that. Doesn't make them untrue or incorrect. But it does, got to keep that in mind. I don't know the makeup. There's definitely a Polish population in what was the Eastern German Empire. I don't know in a given area whether it was a minority or a majority population, so whether it should be part of Poland, be part of Germany. But of course, you had generations of people living there intermixed without, we need to, live in our own country, kind of thing, and where's the borders? But clearly, Danzig is overwhelmingly German. And another area that is largely German, definitely German majority as far as I can tell, is Memel. Danzig's Danzig's actually set up as a free city of Danzig because of that, partially. But it's also sort of Poland has a corridor to the sea. And informing of Lithuania, I don't know all the details, but there's definitely the Baltic states have their own militaries that are fighting for their independence. I don't know how much it was Lithuanian military power versus Versailles, but Memel becomes part of Lithuania after acquiring the great bulk of Bohemian Moravia, or what is today Czechia, here Prague. Germany gets back Memel, and it is wildly popular within the territories, but it building up to World War II. And Kuczler is the general in charge of the occupation there, so he's definitely had a lot of experience in this area. By the time World War II breaks out, and he's still commanding up there, and he commands the divisions, at least some of the divisions that go into Danzig, that move down towards Warsaw from East Prussia. Give a little background on him. Okay, well, I don't know. We've got that crossing blocked. I'm very unsatisfied, you know. Definitely not doing as well as I should be with this game here. Okay, well, we need to have AI depot management. I'm going to do this without having it prompt me this turn. You definitely have, prior to World War I particularly, and or still, I should say, prior to World War I, and very much at the beginning of the 19th century, there isn't nationalism that develops in the 19th century that you should have well-defined national borders. There's just ethnic groups that may dominate particular areas, like France, or we can go to Italy, Italians as an ethnic group, but you have border regions that it's intermixed. Now sometimes it's a village, a town may very well be overwhelmingly of a particular ethnic group, but it's surrounded by people of another ethnic group. So you have that type of situation going on. And so once you come into, very much so the final breakup of these empires, and the Russian Empire, the Austro-Hungarian Empire are breaking up, the German Empire is breaking up. So you're now trying to have reasonable defined countries, and you very well may have a town or a city in the middle of your country that's overwhelmingly a different ethnic group than the majority of people that even sometimes the city might have more people than the countryside, or sometimes the countryside there's enough towns and cities around it, but that one city is so it's a minority, but in the city it's a majority of an ethnic group. So this is very, very tragic, I should say, in dealing with breaking up of these territories. We had been getting it sort of the last sort of tragedy of all that going on was the breakup of Yugoslavia. I would say that we're heading towards another one if, whatever happens with the EU, because we've had a remixing of populations, and I don't know how stable that's going to be long run. But it's a real tragedy, and I don't have a good answer for it. Okay, well, summary of this turn: we've only lost 3 tanks, 1 aircraft, 17 guns, so we've done pretty well. This is the air turn, but we have rain everywhere. They pushed out here a little bit, which is actually okay for us. And we're building up a lot more strength now that we have supply coming into here. That is a good thing. And we've lost our security division out here, I think. Well, let's do the activate, yeah. But what we need to do is execute air directives. And so this is a cause for World War II. World War II has been described, and I wouldn't say inaccurately, I mean, it's not every reason, but is the war over the Treaty of Versailles. The war over the, I think really happened. Okay, news events, Soviet partisans in Belarus, zombie situation. Okay, We've lost our security divisions. Oh, I think we've lost all of our security divisions. We probably got pulled out or something. I know things like that can happen. Yep, I think that's the case. Don't think it was destroyed. I think it was not good, but okay. So now we have rain. Let's see what we can do down here. Yeah, we're going to do deliberate attack. Uses up all, but we surrendered, retreated, yes. No, not good. Not good. Just hang out where we are. Okay, they held. Well, not good, but what are you going to do about it at this point? Okay, well. I don't know. Oh, the partisan box. Okay, which is probably somewhere around here. Thank you, Beam Slam. I know they do. Is it on the map, or is it? One of the. Like I say, I don't play enough of these, of this game. This is more of a wish I played more than I do. Well, Vision's attacking was beyond support. Range 5 hexes of his A. Yeah, that is true. You are right. I need to pay more attention to that. I do bring them up, but not as effective as I should. And like here, what we should do with this division, admin, where is it? Oh, it's here. Shift his to the more applicable, closer divisional HQ. And we can even move this guy down to here, and get everybody in. And that's what you really should be doing. Just like what I did there. And keep reorganizing things. Stay behind this river here. Yeah, probably Beam Slam played a bit more than I have with this. I started a while ago a grand campaign with a friend of mine, trying to do it. We don't with these two. No, that's not good enough. But for both of us, life just got into the way of it. Before we could really get going well enough. I do regret that. Let's see here. I'm a bit of the. Just again, for those of you who don't know, I'm sure Beam Slam does, but the first number we see here is its general attack strength. The second number is its action points. But when you're looking at the enemy's unit, the first number is its expected attack strength, and the second number is its expected defense. So, yeah, I don't know. I don't know whether we should try to start it up again. I get too many irons in the fire. My life has calmed down. I think his life, because he ended up moving, and it's Exergen, we'll call him. He's a good painter. He paints miniatures very well. And we were going to I was going to handle all the mouse movements, but we were going to do this jointly against the AI. So, although I'm seeing not a huge amount of offense, a fair amount of defense up here. And I just don't know if it's worth me trying to push up here. Okay, yeah. These partisans that are causing us rail problems? Probably. Let's move here. To solve some of it. There we go, get some rails. Looking a bit better for better supply. No, I really don't have any reserves right now, Thornwald. Like I say, I am bogged down badly. I started out fairly strong, pushed up here in just a few turns, got my motorized, both armor and motorized infantry forces surrounded, was able to break, and that was bad generalship on my problem. Pushed too hard, had them too concentrated. I was anticipating the Soviets to sort of do what they've done now, in that trying to fall back and form a good line. They decided to push and surround me. I was able to break out, break in, sort of combination of both, and retrieve the situation, but that has basically allowed the initiative to go over to the Soviets. Hey, Eraser SK. So yeah, and I've decided to keep going with this playthrough and not just abandon it for something else, as just sort of a challenge, if you will, to see what I can do. Not that I think I'm going to be crashing into Leningrad anytime soon or anything like that. Okay, we will do the AI depot management, yes. Move up the depots, keep supplies flowing. The info screens here, yeah, I think. Yeah, you can see here, we don't have, at least as far as I know, control over this like you do in some other games. But you can see the production of vehicles, they're in, and equipment that they're in production. You're going to get over time through management, replacement equipment to your units. You can, and I haven't, but you can dig into that and prioritize better panzers to a particular division or whatever. So there's a lot more depth than I quite honestly, more than I know, but also more than I could readily do in a quick playthrough here for you today. So